So there's two online movements, I guess, that you could say I identify rather closely with. And once again, I identify with, not identify as. And that is the MGTOW movement and the ADOS movement. Now, MGTOW is men going their own way. ADOS is American descendants of slavery. Let me knock out ADOS right quick. Deal is that I feel like I have a kinship with that movement by default because I am a descendant of American slaves. These folks are on their reparations tip and they won't shut up about it despite the fact that they're not going to get anywhere with it, but I digress. Then there's MGTOW, which actually I came across quite a while ago, like probably about 2-3 years ago. You can check my official elected official channel where I did a video on it and, I kept it pressing. And I really did identify with the philosophy of men discovering themselves and knowing what my purpose is in life as opposed to trying to just chase females all day, every day. It's been a godsend in a lot of ways because I just sat down and talked with God and asked him, hey, what do I do? And it's always been end the drug war, fix these families because all of our societal problems start in the home. So if you can tell by my content on this channel, as well as the official elected official channel, that's what I've been up to for the past probably about going on 4 or 5 years now. So when I see people really misunderstand what MGTOW is, or like at least the basis philosophy, I feel as if I don't think they're particularly getting it. And a lot of this comes from men themselves because, you have all these different like levels. They're like, oh, MGTOW monk and alpha MGTOWs and all these other things. I'm just like, guys, it's called your own way. So, be on your own way. Like, I ain't worried about all that shit. And I respect a lot of content creators who do constant MGTOW content, such as your Undead Chronics, Turd Flinging Monkeys, Terrence Pop. I believe that, they're doing great work and I appreciate the work that they do. And thusly, there's no point in sitting here just crying all day about, and not saying that they cry. I'm just saying not sitting here and going in all day about how females are this, that, and the third. That's just not me. I don't have that type of heart in me to be like, oh my goodness, well, females are just all of them. It is all of them. Don't worry about, no. Because I personally was raised by a man who would constantly say that if God made anything better than a woman, he kept it for himself. I mean, my dad was a simp, all right? But the deal is that he was a simp at a time when being a simp was actually beneficial. He got married in the 70s, right before all of the no-fault divorces and all these other situations came on. And he picked a damn good woman to build a life and a family with. And he went out of his way to provide and protect her, as well as, the Cubs when we were. And as I grew into a man, I was definitely sent out in the world on my own. But I'm digressing. We have here is a lady by the name of Irene who is just perplexed by the notion of MGTOW. And so I want to do a video based around this young lady who is definitely a 35%er. Let's not make it. I see that's one of the things about me. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my goodness, well, she's just a female, so screw her. No, this isn't No Ma'am from Married with Children. This is just, hey, go your own way, figure out your purpose. And when it comes to the ladies, I personally believe it is a matter of you being smart as well as a man and recognizing what you want in a mate. And if she doesn't provide that, but provides, a little vag for your time, then hey, knock them out. But let's get into this video that this young lady's put out.
Hey guys, this is Irene. So, males who go their own way. I know that technically it's men who go their own way, but these people aren't men. They're male. They just have...
So we start off with her being insulting. Like, they're not men. They're male because they're not doing as she pleases, what she wants. And one of the more, I think, prudent parts of the MGTOW movement, or one of the more important parts, is just the analysis of female nature, the breakdown of hypergamy and her natural instincts that she herself isn't aware of. And so like when you start to understand these things, you can't be upset with women. Like Irene, I'm not upset with you, darling, by all means. And you seem to have a pretty healthy set of chesticles right there. Very nice. But but that's one of the things I appreciate the most about some of the information that I've garnered by looking into MGTOW content is that, you know, you just learn to understand the female nature far greater than you would being raised by a simp such as I was. Love you, Dad.
Penises, and giving, having a phallus doesn't necessarily make you a man. It just makes you male. So for you males that are going your own way, this video is all about you. And I had heard of them a couple of months ago because, good old internet, it is an abyss that wants to let you know about all the stupid things that are going on in the world. And
I believe that is the greatest aspect of the internet. If you are not smart enough to be able to intake and decipher what's going on throughout the insanity of this world, then maybe you should get offline, Is that her real hair? I don't think it's her real hair. Like, I'm looking at the roots, and I'm not sure if that's her real hair or not. But, she's a very lovely young lady. But as we're about to see, she's a little fed up and frustrated, primarily because she's not getting her way anymore.
I decided not to make a video about it because I was like, dude, that's awesome. I'm so glad these people are identifying themselves and choosing to separate from society. We could not ask for anything better.
So the deal is that at least from my perspective, it's not a separation from society. It's just figuring out what you want to do, what you want your ultimate legacy beyond a woman and a family to be. What is your purpose? And this is where she's having a hard time deciphering it, because we do have different brains, and that's something that she's not conditioned to believe at all. She believes men and women are the exact same thing, and we should think the exact same way, and that's just not reality. And biology's reality, the gender nonsense that she's been conditioned to believe, and a lot of us have been conditioned to believe, that's just fantasy world, all right? We all have biological instincts hardwired into our DNA and our genetics.
Every useless person just threw their hands up and said, I'm going to grab an acronym and walk away, we would be in such an amazing place right now as a people. Like, humanity.
Particularly if you were a feminist, and usually you can tell them by the hair or some of the stances, but I don't believe she's a feminist. I believe she's a woman that's probably quickly approaching the wall and doesn't quite get that her SMV is rock bottom right now. Ladies, you've bottomed out. Dave Chappelle had this great joke where he says, like, yo, if the Punani stock is plummeting because you're just giving it away. And I see that may just be tightening up now for, the next generations to come up. But as far as those of us who are, saying 30s, maybe even 20s or so, yeah, that damage is done.
Our genetic pool would be awesome right now. But anyway, that's beside the point. Anyway, males who go their own way. Apparently they're sick of women and they don't want to associate with us. And
it's not a matter of being sick of women. It's a matter of them not understanding female nature and thusly listening to women. I believe, and this is going to sound a little jacked up, but I believe listening to women has caused quite a few catastrophes that we look around and say, wow, how did that happen to? Because for the most part, and I don't want to say here and say not all, but the disposition is for ladies to see something. Ladies are far more into the aesthetics of things. It just has to look good. Whereas men tend to be more concerned about functionality, just on a purely broad basis. I know that the bell curve is a crazy thing, but on average, women tend to be more focused on the aesthetic, and then they have the aesthetic, they got it, it's nice, but they're done with it in a little bit because it serves no purpose, it serves no function. It's just there to look good, and that's really where I think the biggest disconnect is right now.
I'm not going to go into their rhetoric beliefs. I don't even think half of them know what they believe. But I do know this. I want them to wear t-shirts. I am serious. Like, it's not enough for you to be a part of this movement.
Oh, sweetie, here's the deal. You guys claim, right? Women claim to be, like, women are conditioned to believe that they are just, like, they can do it on their own. They're so smart. They don't need no man, particularly their fathers. When in reality, back in the day, this is why the fathers would pick the husbands for the daughters and stuff like that. Because, like, history has shown us. I mean, you're about to tell us in a few moments exactly why you can't pick them out. You can't pick them out for yourself. And I'm sorry, darling, but you can't ask the rest of society to do your work for you. Because trust me, shitty people are shitty people, and they're very easy to identify if you know what you're looking for.
Can you clearly identify yourself so that we know who you are? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure from the one that I personally encountered that I can like smell a beta person from like 10 miles away. But everybody...
Okay, so I can smell the beta person. Deal is that lady, the one you encountered, more than likely pumped and dumped you, and was like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure," and skeet and skedaddle. And then after the sex, probably made an assessment like, "Hey, is it worth having her in my life for the long term?" Said no and bounce, and that's probably where this video is coming from.
He doesn't have that superpower. So what I think is super important is that if you find a way to identify yourself, I don't know, all of you wear pastel pink or...
But see, that's the thing. Once again, it's a woman relying on the men to do the heavy lifting for her, right? Because she can't decipher for herself the type of person that she's dealing with, and that's what I just said. They make themselves awful people make themselves easily identifiable. You just have to look and have to pay attention. And one of the things that ladies love to do is to ignore signs, ignore warning signs, ignore red flags, or when they do think that they have a red flag, they're completely off base, which is what screws them up the next time because, boom, you were wrong the last time. It's a really interesting paradox that the modern woman finds herself in.
Purple or a t-shirt or little badges or something. I don't know, organize, figure something out to identify yourself so that we know to not engage you. That would be awesome. And I don't think you...
I'm sorry, Irene. You cute though. I mean, you're a good looking chick, and that chest is patent apparently. So yeah, a dude gonna want to get between your legs. But as far as building something long term with you, even from the energy that you're giving off right here, you feel as if you should be leading. You feel as if, oh yeah, I'm an alpha girl. She definitely has called herself an alpha female at some point or another in the course of her online career. I don't know this woman from a hill of beans. I got more important things to do. This came across the timeline, and I was like, you know what? I could do a response to this.
You guys should bash them. Like I said, if every person who has nothing to contribute would simply collectively grab, like I said, an acronym and leave, we cannot hope for more.
That's the thing. You don't need an acronym. You got all these different labels. Like when you sit there and say, oh, I'm a feminist. Bruh, skeet and skedaddle, man. Pump and dump. Stick and move, you know? Like for real, like I mean, people do wear their crazy on their sleeves, but you're so focused on your crazy that you have absolutely no inclination to look for theirs.
We should promote this kind of behavior. We should promote these people to gather together, make a fuss, and identify themselves. Raise your hand if you're useless. Raise your hand if you...
Wow, she sits there so tough. Notice she's the only one with her hand up. I'm sorry, that 8 Mile reference was really just percolating in the back of my head.
Don't want to play the game. Raise your hand if you're confused. Okay, now all of you guys go to the left.
No. See, that's the thing. Stop asking other people to do the work for you. You got to do it yourself. You can't sit there and say, oh, go to the left. As soon as you wake up and she's staring at you, just, that's when you bounce, man.
Far side of the room. I don't see a problem here. And I want y'all to stop making fun of them, quite frankly. Men, like creatures, males who are going your own way,
You hear that, like that, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tone that she's trying to take. I'm trying to sympathize with you. I'm like, Jesus, lady, come on, man. Could you be any more transparent?
I want you to know that Irene is with you. I support your movement. I support your movement. And I think as many people as you can recruit, you should. You see, because you'll only recruit a certain type of male. Which will lead.
Sweetie, there's no recruitment. It's just going your own way, just figuring out what you want to do in life, what matters to you, what your passions are. Because in a lot of, and particularly in the United States, but specifically in urban communities, there is this bending the knee to the whims of the woman that has really driven, particularly the black community, into a wall. And so you're having a hard time wrapping around the fact that you've been told your entire life that you're the solution, when in more often than not, you're the problem.
Leave the pool of actual men more identifiable for those of us who like them.
Here's the deal, darling. You don't get to say what a man is, though. I mean, I will forever be that a woman cannot determine what a man is. A man can only determine what he wants in a woman. Plain and simple. Besides all that, nah, like that's not your place. That's not your space. Sorry, darling. You are a rib by all technical. Like, you're a rib. You should be in your cage. But unfortunately, you know, we got all these different broken and messed up and banged up people out here that it's hard to decipher who is worth a shit, you know?
Revere them and want them. I couldn't hope for anything better. If all I could do...
Nah, you're lying. Deal is that what you want is control. You want a nigga in a situation that you can control. And that's just... like, not... For the type of dude that you want, because you definitely want an alpha type dude, right? Just using it for sake of context. She wants an alpha type dude. You know what I'm saying? A 20%er. Problem is, you want a 20%er to act like an 80%er and be all about you. And unfortunately, you're not willing to settle for an 80%er. So... it's like there is a compromise you're going to have to make there, Miss Irene. You either get that simp that you want so much, or you deal with the BS that comes with dealing with a 20%er.
Was walk in a room with men who were actually men and not have to worry about the males who aren't men confusing the soup.
Man, what do you mean confusing the soup, sweetheart? You're the one. Like, I don't know how old this chick is, man. She good looking as hell. I don't know how old she is, how close to the wall she's about to hit it, or if she already passed it. I'm not sure. But really, like, it's up to you. This was actually your father's job, you know? So you need to go have a conversation with your moms, because this was your pop's job, was to weed out the bad individuals, to look for the things that you can't look for because you have a woman's mind, and your mind isn't geared towards looking for the types of things that you actually want to avoid. You find those things even more attractive, if you want to be 100% real about it. Like, the reason my man probably got between them legs is because you was really into him, you was really feeling him, and then after all the carnal fun was done, you're like, okay, what is this? He's like, you were like, what are we? He was like, we are farmers. Da, 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 da.
My life would be so much easier. It really will. So,
but that's the thing, sweetie. I'm assuming you live in the US, you live in a Western country. The men of this country has gone out of its way to make your life easier. A little gratitude never hurt anybody.
Hey, if there's a way I can help fund your movement, if there's anything I can do to help you recruit other people of your mental capacity, if there's anything I can do to spread your cause, if there's anything I can do to support you breaking off and leaving the human body a healthier place, then please let me know, because I'm so down.
What that mouth do, though? I'm just saying, I don't know what it can do for the cause, but I damn sure know what it can do for me. I'm just saying, because she's not unattractive. I just think she's not in her right mental place. and a woman not in her right mental place is easy for manipulation, a pretty sweet pincushion, but nothing you want to sign down long term with. I would not want to grow old with this woman. I would just want her for the night. That's it. You lease these, you do not buy them.
Do that. And males, if you're hearing this and it resonates with you, you're tired of women, all that responsibility of
See, that's the thing. It's not a tire of a woman at all. I love women. As you guys can tell on my channel, trust me, I talk about them all the time. I defend women from dudes that try to be women, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me. But, but it's like you guys, you're all out of your minds. You are not of your right minds. You believe that everything you do is perfect to an extent. And this isn't me complaining. This is just me noticing that that's your natural nature. And I respect it. I love you when you're in it. But that's not a thing that I'd want to sign on to long term. I'm sorry. Particularly when there may be a better model, few years younger, far more fertile, and actually wants to play her position within the confines of a relationship, which is raise these damn kids, make sure that they're not insane, and keep the house in order. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, oh yeah, don't work or anything else like that. Don't have your own dreams and ambitions. But the deal is that having a family is your dream and ambition, whether or not you realize it. Because a lot of ladies, they get sold this bill of lies, find themselves 30, childless, and having to raise and raising some other lady's kid, particularly in the black community, because she spent her years being in college, and her most fertile years being in college, and making her own way in her own course in her own life. And I'm not sitting here saying those options shouldn't be available to the woman. But at the same time, I feel like the options, by creating a lot of these options, they took the option of being a mom, being a house, and taking care of a house and doing the traditional way off the table. Because this world is expensive as hell. You damn sure need 2 damn incomes to raise a family. And this is the type of chick who would be like, oh, well, now that I'm pregnant, I'm getting out of the workforce. And you're sitting there. So y'all went, let's say she make about 40,000. You make about 60,000. Y'all went from 100,000 to 60,000. Because, hey, man, got to stop that postpartum depression, right?
Families and marriage and leadership. Too much for you? And you don't want to do it?
You can tell that it doesn't even cross her mind about the legal system, about how dangerous it really is for a man to sign on to these commitments. I'm sorry, darling. You probably should be married. If you had your right dude, I'm pretty sure she'd make a fantastic wife. Problem is that you're too much of a risk. Ladies, you are a higher freaking ability now. And it happened legislatively and culturally. I'm not blaming the woman by any stretch of the imagination. I don't knock anybody for taking advantage of opportunities and situations that have been afforded to them. No, not at all. But I am saying that in taking those advantages, you yourselves gave up quite a bit. And another thing I love to note, I want to point out before we wrap this up, because as you can see, we're coming to the end here. Ladies don't like to admit that they don't like each other. And that's another biological, instinctual thing. That's why they sit there and try and claim to fight so hard for each other, because instinctually they really hate each other. They see each other as competition. It's really funny.
There is a group for you. It's called Males Going Their Own Way. I'm sure they have a website. I haven't found it. And I strongly...
And there's also, men guarding their own wallets. There's so many different ways to play around with that acronym.
advise that you get with their program. And the key thing here is don't reproduce. Okay? Recruit, but...
That's right. She's going to sit here and tell you guys exactly how to live your lives. This is the hubris and the arrogance that is the one female nature. And instead of sitting here and squashing it, like, I'm sorry, not squashing it, but like, calm down there, sweetie, pumping the brakes a little bit. What we as a society have done is sat here and said, oh, no, 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 she's 100% right no matter what she does. And she just sitting here like a dog like a dog chasing its own tail, she catches, she ain't gonna know what to do with it. But with that being said, man, we just going, I don't really feel like hearing any more of her lecturing. Deal is, guys, is that this is the end of the video. All the internet stuff, if you liked it, toss it a like. If you dislike it, go ahead, do that too. I'm not scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and you want to get videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring, and YouTube's definitely not going to do it. And speak, let me know, what do you think in the comments? Yo, she bad. She's definitely a 35%er. But what do you think of the MGTOW movement? You could toss ADOS in there too, because I'm not going to be doing an ADOS video at all. Really don't like talking that much about internet subjects like this. But at the same time, I do wanna. It's a Sunday. We're relaxing. I'm at work right now, not clearly busting my ass, huh? So, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. And until the next one,